Hey, hello, and welcome to tonight's meeting. Such a pleasure to be here with you. I hope, okay, I got caught up in the office and I'm going to be doing this live from the office, all right? What that tells me is that wherever you're joining me from, it's such an honor to have you here. This is how it catches us sometimes in the office. I realized that I had a lot of work to do and I needed to quickly do them. So please help me get somebody on board. We're about to start and we'll be hitting the ground running. I know for surety that there is going to be a lot to learn. There's going to be a lot to glean from. And beyond that, we are continuing from where we stopped. So today we're going to be a bit more specific. We'll go a bit deeper as we consider the topic leading with impact. Leading with impact, okay? When we're talking about leading with impact, don't forget that we said from the very onset that the bottom line of every leadership is what? Impact. Every leader goes out for impact. If there is anything that any leader is looking for that is at the core of the heart of their leadership is impact. Your impact determines your relevance. I've said that many times in the course of our discussion. So please, what you want me to do, quickly get somebody to join because we've started already. Okay? So get somebody to join right now. We've started already, and I'm not going to slow down because I need us to be done by 8:30 on the dot. What I'm going to do is to ensure that we go into the details as quickly as possible. But before we do that, I'd like to touch on some of the things we've discussed in the last 3 weeks. The first week, we began to talk about leading with impact and laying the foundation for the three modules that we've had to handle. All right. And we began by saying that when you have to do it, when it comes to leadership, right, impactful leadership is not measured by how much you do, but by the quality of the decisions you make and the capacity of the people you empower. I say that again. We always said that. I think from the very beginning, we kept saying it that impactful leadership is not measured by how much you do, but by the quality of the decisions you make and the capacity of the people you empower. So, if we want to look at the impact of your leadership, we are looking at two major things, right? The first is what is the quality of the decisions you make, and secondly, what is the capacity of the people, or what are the capacities of the people that you lead? Yes, sir. I'm in the meeting, sir. Thank you. All right, so to go forward, we want to look at the objective, all right? And we said the objective was to transition professionals from being busy executives, not just people that are just doing things and running up and down and all of that, to strategic drivers, those who drive measurable outputs and measurable business outcomes, all right? So tonight, okay, let me just touch a bit on some of the things we talked about. The first module, we dealt with the anatomy of high impact decision making, or what we call high impact decisions, all right? And we looked at three fundamental things there. First of all, we looked at the fact that there's something called the decision fatigue trap, all right? When you expend too much energy on low stakes choices, choices that are low stake, choices that are not the main, big choices, what happens is that you will not have enough energy mentally, you will not be energetic enough to take care of or to handle the bigger decisions. All right. Okay. Sorry. Let me admit someone now. All right. Okay. So good to have you, Ruthie. And please help me get other people on board. Let's share. Let's get people on board. We've started already, and we're moving as quickly as possible. I want to be done by 8:30. Like I said, I'm trapped in the office. Too much to do. Today has been crazy. If you look at my eyes, you see that it's not a. But then we are ready to do what we need to do, and I will be out of here by 8:30. I am hopeful that we'll be able to do it that way. So please help me get somebody on board as we move on. Right? Okay. So I said that the first module we started talking about decision making, the anatomy of high impact decisions or high impact decision making, and then we talked about the solution to the fatigue trap is to automate or create a standard operating procedure for routine choices that are routine. Just create something that keeps it rolling. You don't have to keep making decisions all the time because you have to get something done that has always been done, right? So you save that energy to make high impact decisions. And we talked about the 40-70 rule, if you remember. We said that 40-70 rule has to do with not making decisions with less than 40% of the information, which is reckless. We said that that's reckless decision making. You're making a decision, and the information at your disposal, the data that you have ready that is informing the decision you're making is just 40%, then or less than 40%. That decision you're making a reckless decision. We also said that if you want to make a decision, it should be between 40% and 70%. Anything above 70% is what we call analysis paralysis, right? What that means is that you will be spending too much energy on analyzing, the decision instead of just making it. So when you have up to 70% is enough. Between 40% and 70%, you're good to go. You can go ahead and make that decision, all right? And then we entered into what we call the art of strategic delegation. I think that's what we dealt with last week. How that delegation is not dumping of tasks. You remember that? I said delegation is not dumping of tasks. When we say you are delegating, we're not saying that you are dumping tasks on people, or as a leader, what you just do is to go to where your people are and you are, practically just dumping tasks on them. No, 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 no. That's not delegation, right? And we talked about delegation. In fact, in total, we had a lot of discussion. And we used, if you remember, we used the culinary skill or the cooking, right? We used cooking to analyze, all right? We had an analogy using the processes involved in cooking. How that first of all, you have to let go of the barrier, right? We call it the letting go barrier. Many professionals fail to delegate because they can do it themselves, they can do it better, they can do it faster. It's a mindset, and it actually guarantees bottlenecks. So say the best thing to do is to enter into what we call the delegation matrix, which is the first thing in the matrix is what? Delegate the task. That's the beginner level. You delegate tasks. Then we have the intermediate level where you delegate the processes. Then we have the what? The advanced level where you delegate the outcome. So whatever it is, right, and whatever it is you're looking at, always know that your decisions will always, to a great extent, your decisions will always show the quality of your leadership. All right. So don't forget, we talked about decision making. We talked about how it must be timely, how it must be informed, and how to manage. Don't forget, we talked about managing the outcome. What makes you a great leader is not that you make the best decisions or you make perfect decisions. What makes you a great leader is that you make timely decisions, you make informed decisions, and you know how to manage outcomes of those decisions. All right. So today, which is the third module, we're dealing with what I call driving business results. Driving business results. Now, if you know me and you know the fact that I have a lot of, inkling to business, right? Teaching business, I train business people, I work with business people. And beyond that, there is a lot that happens, right, with us, especially those of us that are consultants, right? So business is one area that I am absolutely interested in. Now, but beyond being interested in business, there is something about business that I love so much, and that's the fact that there's business of everything, right? So you can have business of teaching, business of lecturing, it's a business of, there's business of almost everything that we do on earth, all right? But most times, many people do not understand the business of a thing, okay? So today we want to talk about driving business results, driving business results. So if you're writing down, you can write it down. The topic for today, or the module 3, which is our third in the series, right, of what leading with impact, is what driving business results. Driving business results. If you're good, I'm ready. Let's go. Now, impact must eventually be translated into numbers. I say that again. Impact must eventually be translated into numbers. What that means is that that I have a great culture doesn't produce results is like a social club. I'm running a social club if all I do does not bring a result that I can call numbers. Now, if you're a business person, you know that numbers is the bottom line for every business person. We always talk about numbers. Okay, for instance, I remember my line manager back in the day when I used to work with a company. And he'll say, give me the numbers. I want the numbers, and every time we're always talking about numbers. And many times, many people do not understand that numbers is what actually, it's what gives, or what we call, it's what qualifies the work that has gone in to whatever it is, or the processes, the system that you have used. Now, what that means is that when I am to measure, I measure in numbers. So the qualification of the things I have done, the qualification of the processes that I went through is determined by the numbers that are produced. So numbers is simply results. Numbers simply outcomes. Numbers is simply output. These are the things I'm driving at. The end game is what I am looking for. And the end game is the numbers that come out of what I've put into. So it is not enough for me to have input. It's not enough for me to push in. It's not enough for me to have, what I call work ethic that is very strong and very healthy and very powerful and all of that. I haven't done all of that. Of course, it's not enough to just delegate. It's not enough to just make decisions. At the end of the day, what do the numbers say? And it's the reason why many people, many professionals are not effective in the place of business. I say that again. There are many professionals that are not effective in the place of business. Now, what I'm trying to say is this. When it comes to business, there are things that many professionals do not look at. And what are some of those things? Number one, please follow me. They do not look at the fact that for me to be judged at the end of the day, I will be judged by the numbers I produced, or not just the numbers I produced. Now, when I talk of numbers, not just money now, but by the effect of the output that I generate. So when we're talking about numbers, it's different from different people. For some people, it's the money that comes into the organization, because if your position is money sensitive, please take note of this. If your position is money oriented, meaning that your position is sales oriented, you bring in money, you are the salesperson in an organization, then numbers must be something that you must look at all the time, because to you, numbers is money. For some other people, numbers could be traffic. Please take note of this. To someone who is for instance, a social media influencer, or someone who is a social media campaigner or a social media manager, one of the things that are very important to such a person is what we call engagement rates, all right? Or sometimes traffic. Now, whatever I'm doing, if it doesn't generate traffic enough, right, or if it doesn't bring the kind of traffic I'm expecting, right, I am going to be judged low. So the height or the strength of my impact as a social media influencer, as a social media manager, as a campaign manager in social media, or whatever it is, or as a marketer, will be determined by the numbers. And the numbers for me in this case will be traffic that is generated. For instance, if I'm marketing a product and I put it online, okay, and I want people to come and buy that product, right? Don't forget, there are two levels of numbers. Number one, what are the traffic, or what is the traffic that I am bringing into what I'm selling? So if I am selling cars, for instance, and I have an opportunity to sell cars online, or I'm using my page online to sell cars. Don't forget now, we're driving at the numbers, because we're saying that numbers in Nigeria, if you're in Nigeria, we use our word cocoa. Numbers is a cocoa, meaning it's the main thing. That is what we are looking at. That's what matters at the end of the day. Okay, so I want to know, how much traffic am I generating? How much traffic am I driving, okay, in the direction of what I am selling? All right. Now, so having said all of that, there is another thing that I also need to put together, which is the fact that the money aspect is what qualifies whatever it is that I have done. Okay. The money aspect strengthens the process. The money aspect strengthens the process. Okay. Please help me. Just give me a little time. I'm having a bit of a interference. Someone is trying to call into it, and it's affecting the network. So please, let's just try and just follow me. Thank you. So the money aspect is the bottom line for someone. For some other person, the bottom line for them is the number of traffic they generate. So we're talking numbers tonight. And don't forget, we're saying that if all you do, your processes leads to a great culture, you have a beautiful culture, you have work ethics, your people are doing well, but at the end of the day, the results are not coming in, are not being produced. What that tells us is that what you're running is a social club. A social club is that place that everybody is doing well, you're having the results you want as a gathering, but not the results that brings in what you need for progress. So when we're looking at outcomes, we define outcomes in different ways. So we want to define lead versus lag. So please take note of this. If you're writing, this is a good place to write also. We're defining the lead versus lag measures. There are measures that are called the lead measures. There are measures that are called the lag measures. Lead puts you ahead. Lag draws you back. Please take note. Lead, lag, lead, lag. They're just simple English. Lead has to do with something that puts you ahead. Lag simply means something that draws you back. Is that okay? So I want to define that when it comes to driving business results. Don't forget tonight, we're talking about business. If you don't love business, you don't want to be a business person, you don't have any, don't be here. But if you understand what business is, and you know that there's business in everything that I do, for instance, somebody say I'm into ministry. Now there's a business of ministry. That does not mean that you are a money monger. No, it simply means that you understand the business behind the ministry that you're on. Because if you do not understand the business, you understand that you don't need, you realize that you need diesel to power your services, and there's no money to buy diesel to power your services. So you must understand the business of it. And the business of it is not to turn the church or to turn the ministry into a money-making venture, right? And that is what is not expected, because it's a charity organization. Apart from that, freely have you received, freely you give. We understand that. But there is a business of it, which I can't even talk about now. I just want to talk about the business of everything. Now, we're talking about business as a concept. We're saying, how do you drive business results? I want to define, very importantly, the lead versus the lag measures. Now, what is a lag? What are the lag measures? Now, the ultimate goal, right, is what we call the lag measures. Now, look at it. The ultimate goal, e.g., revenue, profit, total attendees. Don't forget, we said ultimate goal differs. For the person who is an online person, the ultimate goal may be to drive more traffic to that page, to that organization, to the page, to the website online. Is that okay? Now, to a person who is a business person and who sells, the ultimate goal. For someone who organizes a program sometimes and you are teaching, or like what I'm doing now, one of my goals will be to have many people. Is that okay? So total attendees is something that I must ensure that does not lag. Now, I must not lag behind in revenue. So when we say lag measures, we're talking about what are the measures that you must put in place to ensure lose hold on some of these things that we mentioned. Revenue, profit, and all of that. Now, these are things you can't change. Once they are recorded, you can't change them. So you must invest in the direction of these results. Now, it's the reason why when you see some organizations or some businesses, right, you hear them say, okay, we're trying to employ a HR, and you're wondering, HR. The reason is because they've seen the end point, they've seen the end game, they've seen the bottom line. And for them to be able to get to that place, they actually need more structure within the workforce. So they need a human resource person who would help put them together and give them the kind of result that they need in that aspect. So it's not all the time that you will have maybe, what do you call it now? A company looking for HR. But when it is something that is more important to them at that time, that is what they drive. That's what they look for. That is what they are driving after. All right. So please permit me to go a bit forward. Lead measures. These are the daily, weekly actions that guarantee the lag measures. Don't forget, we said the measures you put in place to get you revenue, to get you profit, those are the ultimate goal. Don't forget. So we said that the lead measure are now those things. So the lead is what leads to the lag. Now, the lead measure is, for instance, your daily, weekly actions that guarantee the lag measures. That's the number of sales calls that you make. Let me give you an example. Now, if I am selling a product and I need to make calls in the direction of the products that I sell, right? Now, what that means is that, or what that makes me do, is that the number of calls that I make, in as much as they may not be absolutely dependent or they may not absolutely produce the number of cars that I sell, they actually push and create the opportunity for the sales that I'm looking for. Okay, now let me make that clear again. The lead measures are the daily routines, the things you do that helps you to get or to achieve the lag measures, which is the end game, the ultimate goal. All right. Now, so how do we focus? Because most times, many of us do not focus. Now, and if you do not focus, you will not get to the end. Don't forget, there is an end game, there's an ultimate goal, but there are things that must lead to the ultimate goal. So, I want to look at some of them. Focus. Impactful leaders manage the lead measures obsessively. They are obsessed about the lead measures. These lead measures are the things that produce the end game, the end results. If you are a business person and you do not give attention to the routines that you do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, the tasks that you delegate or the functions, the processes that you put in the hands of people, you will not be able to, or you may not be able to achieve the ultimate goal. So your ultimate goal is not being achieved, not because you do not have a good product. Many times people feel that, oh, people are not buying my products because I do not have a good product. That's not necessarily it. Okay? It may be as a result of the fact that you have good products, but the process that leads to those products being sold for you to get money is not managed effectively. Or you're not giving attention to the lead measures, the things that lead to the lag measures. So this is how we work. When you are a business owner or a leader and you're leading a group of people, one of the things you must do is to give them what I call focus. Focus is simply concentration on key priorities. That's what my mentor calls it. Concentration on key priorities. Now, if my priority is to make profit, all right? My priority is to make profit. One of the things I must learn to do is to give One of the things I must learn to do is to give attention to the routines that bring profit. Okay? Now, there is what we call the say and do ratio. I think I talked about this some time ago. In one of our classes. I talked about the say versus do. How that your say to do ratio has to be 1 to 1, meaning if I say it, I must do it. Now, never leave your people second guessing. Never expect the best from people that you have not modeled 1 to 1 ratio of say and do. This is what I'm trying to say. In this office, we've okay, for instance, let me give you a practical example today. What happened today? Now, there is something we're trying to do. There's something we are working towards, and we have been working towards it for a while now. But there was a traction we gained today. And the traction we gained today was as a result of a follow-up strategy that we developed. We've been going to this organization since May. Yes, since May this year. Okay, since May this year, we asked us to submit this, we submitted everything. Now, this is August. In June, they asked us to bring some other documents, which we did. Then between June and July, I think June 14th, if I remember very well, and the end of July, all communication. In fact, one of the things that kept happening was that in the 14th of June and the middle of July, we kept having, we'll go there, the person that is in charge has either gone on leave, or there's somebody that's supposed to handle something and the person is not available. And we kept going back and forth on the same thing. Okay. Now, I had to sit down with my team, and that was sometime last week, and we came up with a strategy. Because don't forget, what you focus on determines the results or the outcomes that you produce. Let me say that again. Please, if you're writing, write this down. What you focus on determines the outcomes you produce. What you give your time to determines the outcome that you get. Did you get that now? You cannot get outcomes that you have not worked towards. So the outcome that you are getting is absolutely dependent on what you have given. The outcome you will get is dependent on the input that you have given. All right. So we now have to look at ourselves. Okay, what do we do? We know we need these guys very well. We need to work with these guys. We need to get them to do what is expected of them to do so that we can get this job. But we're not making progress. So we said, okay, let's sit down and develop a new follow-up strategy. Okay. Now, don't forget what I'm trying to talk about. I'm actually talking about, wow, these calls are becoming too much. What's happening? All right. Now, don't forget, we're talking about the fact that your say and your do ratio must align 1 to 1. Say and do. It must be 1 to 1. Okay, so now this is how it works. We said that the fastest way to build trust and drive results is a 1 to 1 say and do ratio, or say to do ratio. Now, this is what happened. All the while, I've been sending them to go there, and the people they've been meeting with, they'll give them excuses, come tomorrow, come next tomorrow, and all of that. So I sat down and I gave it a thought. I said, wait, let me not keep telling these people to do. Let me do. So I stood up. And today, I stood up. I said, okay, this is how we're going to do. I'll show us how to do follow-up. So follow me. So they followed me. We went there. By the time we went there, I met the person in charge. I'm like, wow, this is taking so much. What's happening? How are we doing? And all of that. So he explained to me he's been going to this, going to that. He's been trying to manage this, been trying to manage that. I said, okay, that's fine. So where are we at now? Can we move forward? And I said, oh, thank God you are here and all of that. Now, he wanted to give an excuse. I said, no, please. What do we need to do? I need to know so that by the time we're leaving here, we know what we're doing. And he said, okay, let's go to his boss. I said, let's go. So we went there and I saw him and he was wearing an Arsenal jersey. I'm like, wow, up gunners and all of that. We just cracked some jokes. And then he attended to us and said, okay, why not do it like this and do it like this and do it like this? Now, what they've been trying to do for a long time, they got a heads up, or we got a headway today, because as the leader, I took steps that will make them know how to take steps next time. Okay. So I was not just saying, I've always told them that when it comes to, talking to people, negotiation, when it comes to persuasion, I'm good at it. Right. But I can't just say it, I have to show them. So they went with me today. We went there. And when we came back, in fact, on our way back, they just kept saying, so, sir, how did you do it? How do you do this thing? Is it part of the strategy? How do you, I'm like, did you watch how I went about it? Now, I ensured that they didn't give me that they always give you guys. All right. So I made sure that I didn't get those kind of excuses. Or I didn't allow them, I didn't permit them to give me the same excuse that they give to you guys. So what did I do? I made sure that the moment they began to bring an excuse, I had a way, I had a way of, pushing it away and giving them the reason not to give excuse. And that's how I landed with the boss. And the boss was like, this thing has taken time. I say, yes, it's taking time. My people have been coming, but it's either one thing or another. Somebody's on leave, somebody, and like, oh, sir, he's sorry about that and all of that. Now they realize that what I just did was, first of all, to make sure that there was no excuse given to me. And secondly, to give the other person the opportunity to escalate. Now, knowing fully well that there is a bottleneck here or there, can we go to your boss? Let's have that discussion with him. Now, I could actually walk directly to the boss, which is what I can do because I have a relationship with him. I can go there. In fact, I can call him on the phone. But no, I wanted to show them that there is a way to do this. So my say and my do ratio must match. It must be one. I'm going to do it, then I must do it. Because if I don't do it, it will not engender their own participation or their own repetition of what I do. Okay, so tomorrow I am sure that when they go to another place or they go to a new place, they know how to handle it because I have shown them how to do it. Now, that's how leadership with impact works, and that's how results are gotten. So, to drive business results, you can't sit down on your oars. You cannot sit down and expect them to do it for you. You cannot sit down and say, okay, I have delegated. No, it is good that you've delegated, but beyond delegation, what are you doing with them? Or what are you doing that they are seeing? Because you must drive. Don't forget, we say we want to move professionals from being busy executives to what? Drivers of results, drivers of outcomes. So if you're not driving outcome and the things or the outcomes that you're expecting, then there is something wrong with your leadership style. And that must change tonight. You must be someone who leads by example. Your say and your do ratio must be 1:1. Now, if you promise a deliverable by Tuesday, let it be delivered by Tuesday. That's what we're saying. When you are execution breeds high impact. That's what I'm saying. High execution breeds high impact. You cannot have high impact if your execution level is low. What makes a leader an impactful leader is that he has high execution rate. So when it comes to executing, execute well, execute much, so that they can see, the people you are leading can see, and that impact on them will also make them to do much. Are we together? I want to go into some other stuff. We're talking about driving business results before we come to the end of today. So please, I want you to take note. Don't forget, 8:30 we're done. I have about 11 minutes or 10 minutes about that. Or maybe I'll drive it a little bit, like 20 minutes or 16. 16 minutes, so that we can leave the remaining 10 minutes for questions, right? So I'll try to do that. So let's move on. Visual expressions. Do you understand how visual expressions work as a leader? I want to help you understand that. Every leader has what we call a visual, I don't want to use the word attraction, but you have what we call a visual representation of intention. Please take note of this. For you to drive business results, for you to drive what we call business outputs, your intentions as a leader must be reflected on your visuals. I'm teaching you something that I taught some high-level professionals some time ago. Okay? How that the demeanor, the expressions, the facial expressions, the visual expressions of a leader determines to a great extent the conditioning, not just conditioning, the atmosphere, not just the atmosphere, but not just, please take note of this, your conditioning, the atmosphere, and even the culture of your organization. If you're going to get results, especially business results, if you're going to get results as a business person, as a leader in the business place or whatever it is that you do, you must understand the place of your visuals. You need to understand how that your visual expressions per time, your disposition per time tells on the people. Now, this is what I realized some time ago. I realized that there was a time that nothing was really happening. So I just come, I sit down, I do my stuff, I do other things and all of that. So the people they were watching me. I realized that at some point my inactivity started affecting them because I wasn't calling to find out, okay, how are you doing? How is this one going? Because basically there was no project on hand. And of course, as project managers, they needed to have projects to do. So if there are no projects on hand, so and I was not asking them. I realized that my inactivity started affecting their inactivity. Okay. And then there was a time also that, I had just a dull face, And anytime I came into the office, I realized that after a while, it looks like everybody started having a dull face. And you're wondering, how is it that the demeanor or the facial expression, the visual expression of a leader affects the followers, or affects the people he leads? It is simple. As a leader, there is a place or a position you occupy. That place is called the place of attraction. Please take note if you're writing. It's called the place of attraction. People who understand how to use attraction to get results are people that they always have high impact. Right? One of the things that someone has said to me before is that, bro, you have a high attraction rate. People are easily attracted to you. You have this likable personality and all of that. Now, I didn't even know that I had it. I just knew that I love people. I love to be around people. I love to help people a lot. So I'm always with people. But I didn't know that there was something to it, which I did not take advantage of, which is the fact that people are attracted to me. Maybe because of the way I look, I don't know. Maybe my demeanor, or maybe the way I speak, or maybe, the way I relate. But somehow people are attracted to me. And the person was telling me, do you know that this is a gift? I didn't know it was a gift. And many of us as leaders, you do not know it's a gift. Now, the gift of attraction is something that leaders usually have. Now, in some other places, we call it charisma. And charisma is currency. Oh, I wish I had time today. Oh, boy. I don't know I'm going to do this, but let me just touch on this. Is a currency. Whoever told you that charisma does not matter is not telling you the truth. Character is what we focus more on because it is more lasting, is what sustains. Now, when you enter into a relationship, charisma can bring you into the relationship, but character is what keeps you in the relationship. Are we together? Please take note, this night is very important, and I'm doing this deliberately. Many leaders, many business people do not understand that people buy them before they buy their products. Oh, please take note of what I'm saying. This is very important to me, and I want you to please get it. I want you to get it. Now, this is it. People will buy you before they buy what you carry. Someone came to me to sell something, right? I usually buy granules, cooked granules, boiled granules. And this is the season of it. There are times that, I know my wife also loves it, so I buy most times, okay? As hungry as I was and as, craving as I was for granules, I wouldn't buy granule from this lady. I don't know why, because when I looked at her, I didn't like how she looked. In fact, her facial expressions and all of that, I don't know, maybe something happened to her before she came out. Apart from that, the way she presented herself, I just looked for an excuse and I walked away. Why? People will buy you before they buy your products. If you're writing, please write that down. You need to write that down. You can put it in the comment section. Let me know that you're following me. Is that okay? On Facebook, let me see you. People will buy you before they buy what you got to sell. People will buy you. In fact, as a matter of fact, the reason why they buy your product is because they bought you. They must buy into you first. And it's the reason why I usually say this. The first product you sell is you. Please write these things down. I want you to know them. The first things that people buy, they buy you. You are the first product that they want to buy. You are the first product that they want to spend their money on. As a matter of fact, the reason why they are buying what you carry is because they bought into you. Now, buying of you sometimes is not necessarily giving you money. It's simply having you be the one that is worthy to sell to them. I hope you know that selling is there's a psychology behind selling that is beyond just knowing what to sell, knowing your product, knowing how to market it. No, there's a psychology behind it. Is the reason why, have you noticed? There's something that happened many years ago as a graduate back then. Okay, even before I graduated, I think we were doing, this phone call business. There's this phone call business then when not everybody had phones and all of that. Where we lived, where it was a rural area, the phone, what do you call it now? The network, right? The GSM network was not really strong there. So we had this mast or no pole. We had this pole that had an antenna on it. So we usually used it to, attract signal. That's the network. And then we connect it to the phone and we're using it to make calls. So people could call their relatives could call them and all of that. My younger brother started before I came in. When I came in, I took it to another level. Now I noticed that all the people that were doing that business then, whenever they're coming to that place, right? They will come dressed anyhow. They can even wear t-shirts. They can even come with body odor and all those kind of things. I'm just saying, okay? But there was something different about what I started doing and what my brothers started doing. Because I realized that, people will always, there's a psychology to selling. And people will always buy you. They'll buy into you before they buy what you have to sell. So what I did was I would come sometimes dressed with suit and tie. Have you seen a call agent? Have you seen a call agent now? I'm not talking of those that are, in the, MTN and all of that. I'm talking of a call agent that is standing by the roadside, a business call agent who is, everybody comes to make calls and he's dressed in suits, looking clean, shoes well polished, with tie. And I will sit there like that and I watch people coming in my direction, especially where I was sitting was in the front of the school where we lived in, Federal Government College, right? When I sit down there and I begin to, make my sales, there's something I realized that was happening. People were drawn more to me than, in fact, just beside me was another person who was a competitor. So my competitor did not have as much traffic as I had, and the thing created envy and jealousy. I can't go into all of that back then. But something was happening with me as at that time. And that's the fact that I noticed that there has to be an edge. I can't be at the same level with these guys. I'm a graduate, for God's sake. I had charisma. But to enhance my charisma, I will come dressed well. Even if I'm not wearing a suit and a tie, if I'm wearing a native attire, whatever it is, I have to dress well. If I'm wearing a jeans and a shirt, I wear my canvas. I looked clean. And it was bringing people to me. So charisma is so important. It is a currency. Character is also a currency. Don't forget, I'm not just saying, as a matter of fact, you know that I'm high on character. But don't forget, you can be a person of character, but because you are not attractive, you are not even brought to the table. So first of all, I have to make my way to the table before my character will sustain me at the table. Should I say that again? I need, first of all, to even get to the table before my character will sustain me at the table. So I'm not going to invest so much only on my character. I will invest a lot also on my charisma, because how I appear before people determine how attracted they are to me. So if they're going to be attractive or attracted to me, then I must carry what it is that makes them look at me and feel you have something to offer. Before I talk about competence, before I talk about character, let me talk about charisma. Now, do you know that there are certain people that, they will come to you. I wish I could give this analogy, but okay, maybe I'll put it in a way that many people don't understand so that you don't get the person I'm talking about. Okay, this is how it works, okay? Now, please take note of this. Do you know that there was somebody who came at some point and wanted us to support him to, to campaign for him, to work with him so that he becomes, it was a political position he was vying for. I won't mention the name so that we don't. But when I looked at the person standing before me, and this person was talking to us about Give me the support. Give me your support. I need your support. I need us to get there. I need us to, I need you, bring all your people, bring your structure. Let's work together and all of that. I looked at him. I looked at the person that was standing, and I looked at what the person wanted to become. And it didn't match because I started looking at it. Now, I'm not saying that the person was a wonderful person of character. Okay, but the person's appearance, the person doesn't know how to appear. And because the person was coming from outside the country, he had, this mindset, Oyibo, we call it Nigeria, Oyibo mindset. He had this mindset of the whites, right? So he would come and feel that, okay, no, it doesn't matter how I dress, it doesn't. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, no. Have you noticed how politicians dress when they're coming for campaign? The flamboyance? It is because they understand the law of attraction. That charisma is what? Currency. That the way you see them coming, sometimes they come dancing and do all those things. It is attractive. People are coming to them. One of the reasons why before you know it, people are dancing with them. They are doing like this. They'll play some this thing. They're climbing the podium and all of that. There is something about it. And if you do not know it, you do not know it. If you do not have it, you do not have it. No matter how much you try to make yourself look like a holy man, a righteous man, a man of character, a man of competence and all of that, first of all, before we hear you, we need to accept you. We need to accept how you look. You don't look good, so we can't bring you in for you to even talk to us. That's a problem that some of us have. You've been looking for a job, you've been looking for business opportunities, but you do not look like the business you're looking for. You do not look like the patronage you're looking for. You do not look like the place you want to enter into. So we are looking at you, we are hearing you, but we have not accepted you. I wish I could drive this home tonight. If I drive it, then you can be sure that your business will do well. Don't just say, I'm a businessman, I know how to do the business, I'm very competent. You can't try me. We understand. We can't try you on your turf. But when it comes to sales, when it comes to you giving that bottom line we're talking about, which is numbers, it will not come only because you know how to do your job. No, it will come because you know the psychology behind selling, how that people will accept you before they accept your product. Have you not noticed that even when adverts are being made, they want to advertise a car, they put a beautiful girl beside the car. Why? Because attraction is a law. People are drawn to it. Have you not also noticed that they're trying to sell houses these days? They now have beautiful girls, dressed well, and they use them to talk about we have so place and so go to so place. We have this kind of houses. We have so. What do you think they're doing? How come they're not just getting anyhow people to do that? They know that the message is better conveyed by the person who is attractive. Simple. Guess what? There may be someone in their team who has better English, who knows how to speak better. But guess what? They will not bring that person on board. Why? They prefer that one who has a good look. Because first, people will buy who you are. They buy what you look like before they buy what you are selling. 8:20 on the dot. I'll stop at this point. Well, I hope I've been able to speak to us tonight. There's actually something like a practical exercise I wanted us to do, but I'm not sure I'll be able to do that tonight. All right. I don't know. Okay, let's just leave that for tonight so that I can have questions. Don't forget, we've been able to deal with a lot of things tonight, particularly looking at the business bottom line, because tonight, the third module in leading with impact is driving business results. So your results, or what we call your ultimate goal, right, is not the same with another person's, but you must know how to drive yours. Everybody has something that they're selling, but at the end of the day, whose own will be bought is dependent on a number of things. One of such things is charisma, attraction. You must learn how to attract and be attractive. When you enter into a place, have you seen, it happens to me a lot. You look like somebody. You look like somebody. There's always everywhere I went. Even yesterday, I went for a program, one arts and culture kind of film, creative, something. And I was invited there, and I got there, and somebody looked at me. You look like, look like. Have we met? It's let me tell you, it's attraction. I know I've not met him. Maybe he thinks I'm someone, or I look like someone, but there is something about it. It's not everybody that I look like or that you look like that people want to tell you that you look like. If they're coming to tell you look like such a person, check it well. You are attractive. You look like someone that they like. Do you understand? So please work on your charisma. While you're working on your competence, on your character, work on your charisma. Work on your looks. Don't appear anyhow. Now, please, I wish I'm very careful with some of these things so that I don't say things now that will now become a problem. For instance, I could have said, look at your height. And when you're coming out, wear things that enhance your height, for instance. Okay. If you're someone that is not so much on the tall side, okay, when let there be other things that bring you out so that you're not lost in the midst of. I'm not saying that you must be tall. No, 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 don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying that the tall person has an advantage over a short person. No, 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 not at all. At all. Far from it. I'm just saying that you look at yourself and you look at where is the area that I need to enhance and enhance that area. Now, if I am, for instance, if I am someone who may not have too much of good looks physically, right? Then one of the things I must learn to have is good speech. I wish I could go into all of this tonight. Good looks, good speech. Let me explain. There are times that people hear your voice and they hear the texture, the tone, the tonation of your voice and the way you speak, and they're already attracted to you. Somebody heard a voice note that I did to someone, and the person was like, "Who is this guy? Who's this guy?" This guy, the person had not met me before, but just my voice in a voice note that she played in his presence. He said, "Who is this guy? Or who is this guy? He speaks so well." I won't talk more than this. I appreciate you all. Thank you all for taking that time to be here. Let me quickly get our responses, our questions. If you have any, this is the time to ask questions. Anybody has, you can just put them in the comment box online and on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Google Meet. Okay, let's be together. Let's talk together. Anybody? Anybody? Just put your question. I want to take questions before I call it a day. Once it's 8:30, we need to bring this to a close. So if you have any question, please, this is the time. You can just type it there and I'll provide answers. It may not be from today, maybe from the series we started 3 weeks ago. And maybe last week there was something you wanted to ask, you couldn't. Please go ahead. This is the time. All right. Okay. Yes, the numbers tells how well a business is faring or thriving. Yes. Your charisma is also a major factor that drives your business results. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so very much. My delight. My wife just put that there. And very true. It captures what I said. Okay. Charisma is currency. Somebody may take that one. Please carry it. People will buy you before they buy your products. They will buy into you before they buy your products. Let it be something you carry, as you move on. Okay. If there are no questions, I think I'll just have to go ahead and call it a day. Is that fine? Okay, so next week we are entering. Please, I want you to take note, please. Next week we are entering into another series. We're starting it next week, and we just setting the tone with this, so that by the time we get into it from next week, you will understand. We are looking at business acumen. I already started it tonight, but we're entering more into it. Understanding the numbers behind the job. You get that now? All these numbers we're talking about. How do you read financial statements? Don't forget, this is a mentorship class. Thank you so much, Auntie B. Good to have you. Thank you so much. All right. How do you read financial statements? How do you understand? Do you understand what ROI is? They say ROI, return on investment. These are numbers. Okay. Do you understand budgeting? Do you know how to connect the decisions that bring about company profitability or business profitability? So these are things we want to look at next week. We're starting next week on a very high note. Please, I beg you, whatever it is, make sure you are here and be here on time, because we're entering a different level from next week. It's purely business, and understanding numbers. Please, if you're a business person and you're not joining this series, I am already afraid. Some of these things are things I teach for money. I go for conferences and seminars, and they pay me for that. Okay, but this is free because these mentorship classes are actually free, and I expect that somebody will take advantage of them. Okay, please don't miss any of these mentorship impact sessions. Come with your books, with your writing materials, and put down something that will help you. Like I said, next week we're entering into a very serious, level of discussion, understanding the numbers behind the job. Whatever it is you do, business person, career person, there's a job you do. How do you understand the numbers? How does company profitability work? Do you know how organizations make profit? All right, that'll be for next week. So let me not go into all of that. Thank you very much once again for taking out the time to be here. I think at this juncture, I'd like to bring this to a close as I appreciate everyone that is online. I wish I could call your names. It's usually a difficult time for me every time I'm closing, because it's difficult to start mentioning all the names of the people because I'm not even seeing all of them, right? Especially online. But on Facebook, I think I can see a few. My elder, Maoga, Mr. Sia, thank you so very much for being here. Auntie B, good to have you. My dad and my mom, thank you so much. My wife, who else again? I saw very many people. Ura, thank you. There are other people that have come and gone. I think Mr. Damisa, Mr. Isaac Damisa, thank you so very much, my elder. Good to have you. And please share this with people, get them on board. We're doing a lot here that can change many lives, and we need as many as possible to get blessed by this. Don't forget, after 30 days, most of these videos or all these videos on Facebook are deleted. Okay, except for those of us that are on YouTube. Okay. All right. Once again, thank you so very much for taking out the time to be here, and I look forward to seeing you next week as we talk business. See you. Bye for now, and have a good night. Have a good night, everyone.